Hey friends, this is Derek at Tech Connection, and this is part 3 of our SpriteKit game. In the last 2 parts, we made the player, the game field, and the aliens, and in this part, we're going to shoot them with bullets and take them away from the game field when they're hit. We're going to do that in approximately 10 minutes, so let's get started. We'll begin this process by making a new class to represent the bullets, and I'm going to call the Swift file that I'm storing these classes in just bullets. I'll put a couple classes in here. We'll do the usual SpriteKit, and it's time to define a bullet. I'm going to call these a SK shape node, and the reason for that is I just want to draw a generic rectangle to represent the bullet on the game field. So we'll do the usual override init and the usual decoder init. The decoder is, of course, not used in this particular game. And then we're going to do some setup that's generic to all bullets. And the first thing we're going to do is work out the path, what the bullet will look like. It's just going to be a rectangle, so I'll do a usual CG mutable path. I'll add a rectangle of size approximately 4 pixels by 16 pixels, seems about right to me. And then we'll close that path, and then we'll go ahead and we'll add that as the texture. And I'll also set this to white just for now, and then I'll set the line width to 4 pixels like I did for every other shape I've been drawing. We can always change these later, it's not a big deal. And next I'm going to add the physics body, and the physics body is also going to be a rectangle. So that's going to match exactly the shape of this path, so it's pretty easy to work out what sort of physics shape we need here. It's just going to be a regular rectangle 4 by 16. And then as per the usual, we are not going to be affected by gravity, and we're not going to allow rotation in the simulation for this particular body. And then I think we're going to go ahead and set the collision to nothing. Might adjust that in a little bit. We'll see how it goes. And now that I've got my generic class, we'll subclass it a couple of times. So we'll make one bullet for the player, which will be my player bullet. That'll be a subclass of bullet. And then we'll make another one that is a subclass, and we'll call that one enemy bullet. So in the player bullet, we'll override init. We'll just call it the superclass. That sets up the physics body, and then we'll override the things that actually matter. So for instance, the velocity, we want the bullet, when the player clicks, we want the bullet to travel upwards towards the aliens. So we'll set a Y velocity of about, I don't know, we'll try 384, see how that goes. That might be a little too fast. And then we'll put this initializer that we don't use into place. And then it's actually time to create a few more sprite categories. So we'll make one for the player bullet, and that'll be the next binary value in series. And then one for the enemy bullet, yet another increment in the binary value. So you can kind of see the pattern playing out there. And then we'll assign that category to the physics body. And we'll say, what does this bullet contact? We want it to disappear if it should touch the wall. So we'll start with that, and we'll work our way up. So we'll define ourselves as a player bullet. And we should also name our sprite. So why don't we give ourselves a name of player bullet as well? That way we can check this later. And then I'll just duplicate this class entirely, and then I'll call it enemy bullet. And I'll change the category, and I'll change the name. And this should be enough information to spawn them in the view now. So where I want to spawn the bullets is going to be in the touch. So when the player is touching the game field and they lift their finger upwards, we'll probably spawn them there. And then we will also want to, after they've been spawned, we'll want to remove them. So I'm going to add an if statement to my contacts, and I'm going to remove sprite B from the scene if it's a player bullet that happens to hit the bounds. So if you follow from part 2, where the aliens touch the bounds, now if the player bullet touches the bounds, it will disappear. And same for the enemy bullet when we spawn that. Now that we've got that worked out, let's go find our touch method. We're going to look for touch ended, and this will be the spot that we use to set this up. So create a new bullet whenever they end whenever they lift their finger from the screen. And we'll set the position of that to wherever the player's spaceship is. And the player spaceship being a rectangle, we will want to position it at the top of that rectangle, dead center, so that it looks like it's coming out of the tip of the spaceship. So I'm just going to take the player's position and I'm going to add some margin to that position. And I'm going to add a note. Always add a note when you've used constants like this, or you won't remember why you picked that. So I'm making a note to myself for later why I'm adding plus 16 and plus 32. And then we're just going to throw this into the game scene now as a child of the border. And that should be enough. I should be able to tap while moving, and it'll fire bullets. So let's give that a try. Okay. That looks good. The node count in the corner of when you're running it on your simulator, take a look at the node count in the center. Make sure the node count decreases as the bullets hit the edge. And we'll just go as fast as we can here. So as fast as we can click is as fast as the bullets will come out. I don't have a limiter on it. I'm going to adjust the margins. It didn't look quite right to me. Let's try it again. There we go. That comes out of the tip of the spaceship much more clean. That's what I was going for. So now that we've got that going, we want to crash into the aliens. That's what we want to do. So let's tell the physics body to look and contact the enemy as well as contacting the wall. And then in the gameplay scene where we're checking our contacts, we'll add a whole new if section that decides, did the bullet hit an alien versus a wall? So we'll check if Sprite A is an alien. We can spell it. And then we'll check if Sprite B is a bullet. And if so, what should we do in this case? We should remove the bullet, of course, but then we'll also remove the alien. So we'll just remove both sprites, Sprite A and B, from the contact. We'll take them both out of the scene. And didn't work, went right through it. So that's not working. Let's review our code and see if we made a mistake anywhere. The aliens don't contact test with the bullets, so let's add that in just to be safe. Here we go. Try it again, see if that fixed it up. Did not. It goes right through. So at this point, I probably need to give myself a little bit of debug output. I think where I'm going to look is in their gameplay scene. I think I'm just going to print out what's touching what. And then that way, it'll inform me a bit as I go. So let's do that. Let's print out the word collision, and we'll say, object 1 has hit object 2. So that's done with interpolation right here. So I'll just put Sprite A's name and then Sprite B's name. There'll be a little warning because it's an optional. It's not going to hurt anything. All my sprites have names. If they didn't have a name, there might be a little glitch right here, but I don't let any sprites go without naming them. Okay, so looking down in the debug area, it is saying player bullet hit alien. So I'm doing my if statement backwards. Yep. All right, so I'm checking them out of order. Sprite A is going to be player bullet. Sprite B is going to be alien. There we go. All right, so when we run it like this, now that we know that they're touching, the alien will disappear along with the bullet when the bullet contacts them. And you can kind of see where I'm going with this now. So I'll just blow up a bunch of them. And this is working properly. I'm not seeing any physics mistakes here. The node count is decreasing, which is what you want to see happen. And we're looking good. So the game would probably be a lot more fun if the aliens fired back at us, right? So let's add that now. So how am I going to do that? Let me comment this out because this is going to slow down performance immensely. But I'll leave it there in case I screw up again. I can always uncomment it. All right, so how should the alien bullets work? I think they'll just fire on a schedule, right? So we'll put a timer in position, and as the timer elapses, we'll pick an alien. That alien will shoot at the player. We'll do it that way. So to do that in SpriteKit, I like to do it as an action. So you've got one called wait duration for duration. And you can create a random amount here and repeat this, or you can just do a steady state, which is what I'm going to do. So every half second, the aliens are going to shoot at the player. So one action is to wait. The second action is to shoot. So for the shooting action, what we'll want to do here is pick an alien at random. And we can get that from the set by just saying random element. So that will pick anything random from our alien set that we set up in part 2. And that's probably going to need a self on it, actually. There we go. And then we'll create this alien bullet. I called enemy bullet. Now I'm regretting naming it enemy. I should have called it alien, but you could always go back and fix it if you like consistency. I definitely like consistency. I'm not sure what I'm thinking here, but we've gone too far. We must go forward. So we're going to set up the alien position in much the same way as we set up the player bullet position. We're going to add a little bit of offset so that the bullet does not appear in the middle of the alien sprite, but it'll appear somewhat below it and in the middle. And again, whenever you're using constants for no reason, you leave yourself a note or you won't remember why you did this. Then we're going to add it to the game field, and then we're going to fix my glitches. So we need self. There we go. And I'm a little rusty with making these sequences, so I think our player, of course they're not going to shoot. You got to add this. You got to add these actions to your scene. So I think I'll just add them to game border, and we'll do run. And we're going to link these actions together as a sequence. So a sequence is just the actions that I want to do. So it'd be time between shots, then fire shot, and that'll just be like a list. So if you ever want a sprite to do multiple things in a single step, you create an array of actions and you call that array a sequence, feed it to your sprite. And I'm going to have to lift this out, actually. This is not a good place to do this. So I'm going to lift my sequence definition out of there, and then I'm going to do a run as a, it's not run action. I'm doing this wrong, aren't I? Autocomplete for me. We want to repeat forever the sequence. And needs to have an equal sign there, and then the run action should have the word action. Like I said, I'm a little rusty. I rely heavily on the autocomplete. So we'll repeat it forever, that sequence. Wait half second, shoot. Wait half second, shoot. And the bullets are going up because I set the velocity to a positive number. Should be a negative number if you want the bullets to go down. All right, we're almost there. Now the bullets come down towards the player. And one thing that might be hard to see on this YouTube video, I'm trying to like edit it down for you, is the bullets actually push the player spaceship out of the way. And the reason that that's happening is that the physics of the player have never been set up. If you go back to part 1, part 2, we never set any physics up for the player. So the bullets actually smash right into him. And because he's a triangle, they land on this side, they'll force him out of the way. So we're going to have to set up the physics much better on the player. So we'll do that here. And so the physics body is going to need to be defined the same way we defined all the other ones, in that it needs a category and it needs a collision bit mask and all of that. So we'll call it the category, this is the player, right? And then what does this player collide with? It's the wall, right? If you think about it, he should only be constrained by the wall, not pushed around by player bullets. And later, if the aliens get lower in the screen and they touch him, we don't want the aliens to push him out of the way either. So we'll make sure that only the wall is what he collides with. Let me think. Do we want to do anything else here? Probably we want to say he can be hit by the aliens and the enemy bullets. Here we go. So later when we're shooting backwards, we want to check, can we blow the player up? We want to destroy him, so that you get your extra lives and you get all that stuff. So now we're just making sure that the bullets pass through the player. There's harder to do than it's because I'm not very good. But we're just confirming that it's working properly. So I like to test my physics engine all the way through. Now, one thing you're seeing right away here, the bullets are coming out of thin air. Why is that? Where are those bullets coming from? They're coming from the fact that I didn't take them out of the set when I took them out of the scene. So they need to be removed from my alien set as well. So we're going to go to the alien set. We're going to remove that sprite. And we have to cast it as alien. And I think we need an exclamation point on that. It'll never not be an alien. All right. So then that will remove him from the scene, and then we can wrap it up there. So it's as you shoot all the aliens and they reduce in number, where the bullets come from will only be the bullets that are the aliens that are still in the set. So the set consists of now no aliens at the very end of my wave, and the game is now kind of in a stuck position, but we did it. We blew up all the aliens, and so we're done for now. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll start part 4. Thanks.